Let's go.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is episode number 235 of the Iron Coop Fights movies. This episode is available on iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, and hosted by SoundCloud. I'm Kia, your host. With me on the show today, my co-hosts Emerson.
Hey, what's going on?
And Everett.
Hey, what's up?
This week, the team reviews The Matrix Resurrections. By the way, when we did the Reloaded episode, I said Resurrections the whole time, and nobody corrected me.
Oh,
that just shows you how
Oops.
little we cared about that film.
I'm going to explain our rating system. On this show, we give the titles that we have watched a rating of win, draw, or loss. A win is a title that we would highly recommend, while a draw is a title we didn't love but recognize others may appreciate. A loss means we do not recommend the title. All right, you want to go first, Emerson?
Yeah, sure. So this is a loss for me. When I first saw those trailers, I said like it looked kind of interesting, like the opening of the trailers. And I think this whole movie can be best summed up with the statement that every scene in this movie starts out with a somewhat interesting idea. Like, okay, this will be cool. And then as it goes on, the dialogue, the pacing, the cinematography, the action, the special effects, everything just kind of goes downhill in each scene and it becomes worse. And then the next scene starts and you're like, okay, this could be interesting. And then it just does it again. I think overall there are some really interesting ideas in this movie that they try really hard to come across, but it feels very slapped together. It feels like an insult in a lot of ways to the original movie, despite the amount of callbacks that they try to make. In this movie, there are constant scenes where they'll like be doing something and then flash you back to the first movie because they think you're too stupid to understand that it's a reference. And instead of making it cooler, in a lot of those sequences, to me, it actually made it worse going on. I like Keanu Reeves. I like the actress who plays Trinity. I even like one of the actors who plays the new Agent Smith a lot. But in this movie, it just felt really bad. The fighting was way worse than any of the previous three. There was no great gunplay. There were no stakes with how the movie ended. It just felt very cardboard, just whatever, blasé. So it's a loss for me.
All right, Everett.
yeah, I'm going to give it a loss as well. I think my opening statement for this should be, this movie did not have to be made. I think with how the third one we watched was pretty bad, but it tied things up to a degree. Like, that was a definitive ending. And this is honestly, it's a useless entry. It didn't need to happen. And ultimately, there's a lot of things I didn't like about it. Like Emerson made some good points, like the CGI is not that great. Acting is not that great, but I'm going to chalk up the majority of the problems with this movie to the writing, because first of all, like the first third of this movie is incredibly meta, and I don't like that at all. I think it's very distracting. I think it's very lazy. And most of the actors I've seen in this movie, I've seen in other properties that I liked. I mean, Keanu Reeves is a little bit of a wooden actor, but overall, everyone else I've seen in good roles. But the fact that they weren't that great in this movie, I think, is definitely a problem for the writers. But yeah, everything looks weak in comparison to the originals, like story, action, fight, all that stuff. It's not great, but I want to talk about it in spoilers because there are some things I want to bring up. So it's a loss, hard loss.
It's a draw for me because I recognize that some people will not care about any of the shortcomings and they're just happy to see the Matrix. And I think if you like the Matrix movies, if you like 2 and 3, you probably like this one too. But that means that you already don't care about a lot of things that are usually connected with good writing. So, like you're just in it for the concept. And I think this has an interesting concept. I think the execution's pretty bad. I think that this movie works better if it wasn't a sequel to the third Matrix. I think if it was like its own original idea of a guy who created a video game and then he realizes that it's actually like past memories and that sort of shit, like kind of interesting. But the fact that it's actually held back by the fact that it's so closely tied to the other movies that are also not that good. I don't know. I have a pretty good like measure, which is if I don't want to watch it, like as I'm watching it, if I'm like, I wish this was over, it's not, I don't think the problem is me. I think that the problem is the movie. And there's been other movies, like I know I don't agree with like most people on Thor Ragnarok, but that movie has no plot. Like it's so boring. and it just meanders the entire time. Like it's like background noise. It's good background noise at best. The action's okay. Besides that, it's just like people talking sort of aimlessly. And like I fell asleep multiple times. This is a movie where I was like, 2 more hours or like 1 more hour, and it just keeps going on and on. And I don't know, maybe too much time has passed, but like the stuff that they were doing, like the Matrix stuff that they were doing, I just wasn't that interesting. I don't care that they run
I
on
agree.
walls anymore. I just don't care.
I don't think it's too much time. I think that it's missing a lot of the heart and the soul that the original one had and some of the concepts. And can we go into spoilers now?
Yeah, let's go into spoilers.
So one thing I want to talk about with it missing the heart and the soul, the action in this is just worse. Like the hand-to-hand fighting, the hand-to-hand fighting in the original Matrix movies is not realistic, but it doesn't matter because they're in a machine. And it's not like great, but it's stylized, right? It's like stylistic kung fu. The fighting in this one, it just felt very like this. I've seen this type of stuff a million times. It didn't have the same weight to it. It wasn't visually interesting. There were only a couple scenes with hand-to-hand fighting. A lot of this is just Neo waving his hand to deflect something, like a lot of it.
Yeah, they gave him
true.
like shock blasts and stuff instead of his fighting ability.
And building off that even more, the gunfighting in the original movie, there are a lot of cool like bullet time moments. And I totally get what Everett's saying, how annoying it is with them like, oh, we're being meta. People like bullet time. Ugh. Like, and it's okay to be meta if the product you make is good. But if you try to be meta and then the product you make is bad, then it comes off as like you understand to some level, like you're trying to make fun of like, haha, these things were popular, and then you're just blowing it.
What was so
but
bad about
there's
the
a
bullet
level
time?
to it though. Like being meta is one thing, like referencing things outside of your universe is one thing. But I chalk a portion of this movie, like I put it in the same vein as the last Star Wars movie. Remember the line, somehow Palpatine returned? They say in this movie something along the lines of, our parent company, Warner Brothers, wants us to make a 4th entry to the already existing trilogy. I know a lot of people don't want to do that, but we got to come up with something, otherwise they'll cut our funding. Like that's it. I cringed so hard when I heard that. That was too far. Like
And
that's overstepping.
to answer your question, Kia, like what was wrong with bullet time? There's nothing wrong with them mentioning bullet time. I like the bullet time. Like the gunfighting and the gunfighting scenes in the first Matrix are pretty cool. Like I would say, like it's interesting. The gunfighting in this felt just the same. Felt blasé, felt watered down. I'd seen it a million times. It's not all that good. Keanu Reeves. Go ahead.
I liked the meta-ness of it.
I don't
Why?
have an issue with the meta-ness of it per se, but I don't like when they're trying to be meta and then the product they make is still bad. Like I would rather if there was no meta and it's just bad, but like the meta-ness plus the product being bad, it's like, so you understand some of the things that people liked, but you don't know how to make another good movie. Like what is this?
Yeah,
It
so-
almost feels like they're not disrespecting the title, but it feels like they're mocking it a little bit. Like they're not taking it with that seriousness that they should be doing it with.
See, I don't have a problem with that because the Matrix has always been about questioning your reality. 2 and 3 like abandoned all that because they just accepted like the Matrix was a fake thing, and it abandoned all of that type of stuff. Like when Morpheus is like, "Do you think that's air you're breathing?" and all that is gone from 2 and 3 basically, from what I remember. I like that they are like constructing what the Matrix was in terms of like marketability. It's an interesting concept. I didn't mind watching that part. I think that's why I said before, it's kind of held back by the fact that it's connected to previous movies called The Matrix. Because in itself, it's not a bad idea. Like if you had never seen any previous Matrix movies, and this movie was about a guy who made a famous video game thing, and they're talking about all the aspects of it that are really cool, and you're seeing snippets of it, and it's not the right characters' faces, but like they're lookalikes, and it looks really cool. And then you find out, like, wait a second, like this is actually he's in a program, and he was the guy. It's an interesting concept. When you go, but what you're like, Everett, what you're saying is like they're not treating the previous source material seriously, and it's like, yeah, because they wrote that trilogy and it ended and it shouldn't exist anymore. And anything that they do after that to like, they're just trying to come up with a new idea, and it's not good enough because that story is over. It's over and it ended in a stupid way. Like I forget, like, I don't even remember the ending.
The ending was Neo dies after
there's
defeating
peace.
Smith, and then peace occurs.
Which we don't even know what peace is, but it occurred. And it's like
they stopped shooting each other, I think is the extent of it.
It's such a dumb ending that you're basically like, where does this go? And then they go like, oh, he's alive, everything is back, like in terms of control, and somehow these structures are all built and blah 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 blah. And then they start doing that same shit, which is the problem with the sequels, where they take us out of the Matrix and it's back to this like war of the machine bullshit, old people, government, blah blah blah. Your ship, your captain, you're not allowed to fly anymore, all that crap that no one cares about, which is like, that's where the movie starts to lose me. And then it does even the worst things, which is it starts to bring back all those auxiliary characters that people hated, like the fucking Merovingian.
Oh my God.
I have to say that was the funniest part for me when the Merovingian starts speaking French and it zooms in on Neo's face and he goes, "Oh God," that was so fucking funny.
My first thought when I saw that scene was, "Oh my God, what's Kia gonna say about that?"
The truth is, at that point, I was so checked out of the story because I could sense where it was going, where it was turning them. And this is kind of my overall point is, the initial concept is fine. I don't think it makes any sense as a Matrix sequel, but the concept is fine. And then it turns into him and Trinity becoming superheroes. And like, I got to be honest with you, like making Trinity an equal part of this at that point after she already died was maybe at the bottom of my list of things that I would have wanted to see. I just don't care.
And see,
like, wasn't the scene where she like remembered? Is it? I like I said, I didn't care at that point anymore. But wasn't it really kind of dumb the way that it happened?
Yeah, she was leaving. Like her husband Chad was pulling her out, and then he's like, "Come on." She's like, "Don't fucking call me Tiffany. My name is Trinity."
Why at that moment did she?
Because I guess Chad was trying too hard, and that pissed her off.
Yeah, so that's what I was watching it like. I'm like, you're like force feeding Trinity as a thing down my throat right now, because this whole time she hasn't been Trinity, and now suddenly she is just out of nowhere, and I'm supposed to be like, wow, she can fly or some shit, whatever she was doing, whatever they wanted her to do. I don't know. So the idea is that they have energy, and if they're in close proximity, then they create more energy. So the machines or somebody was like,
the idea is that if they're separated, the Matrix falls apart. If they're put together, the Matrix falls apart. However, if they're kept close to one another but not together, the Matrix is like better than ever.
This sounds like a really long way to say it doesn't make sense to have a fourth movie. That's what it sounds like to me.
See, I agree with everything you've just said. And like, you're right. But the things that I was focusing on are like just so many downgrades from the, like in the fighting, in the gunplay. And I want you to think about this. Okay. We're introduced to like a fairly large amount of characters, both new and old in this movie. Okay.
Yeah.
Not one character, not one named character dies. Not one villain, not the Merovingian, not the analyst, not Sati, none of them. They don't die. Not one person from Zion dies. And Neo and Trinity, nobody dies.
That's a really good point.
Oh, yeah, Io.
Yeah, what happened to Zion? Did they explain what happens?
What they imply happened.
That is something.
And this was one of the cool, like, I like the idea that there was a civil war between the machines. I like the idea that there was a breakdown there. And then the machines sort of like were going different ways.
It doesn't track. It doesn't track. Are they sentient people?
Like, yeah, apparently, because they're running around helping humans individually and making their own choices. They're just people now.
Apparently, they wanted to be like weird stingray-looking things.
So if they're people now, why weren't they people before?
They were, apparently, because remember, Sati's parents were people before, and Smith became like a person. Sati was that Indian girl.
She was from the third movie.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Her dad.
Yeah, but they have like they just roam subway tunnels and and wastelands. Like they don't do anything.
Well, now
Now
they
they
do,
have a civil
apparently.
war. Like for what?
Apparently. Well, because it was like, oh, with the Matrix down, there's less resources. So like the analyst was rising or someone above him was rising, a new power. But what's implied that what happened was that this,
What's
like,
the analyst?
the analyst is Neil Patrick Harris's character.
But
He's the
is he
new
a program?
caretaker of the
Yes,
Matrix.
he's a program. He's the new guy. He
So
replaced
the
the
machines
architect.
made a program.
Yes.
I think
Hasn't
what they
this gone wrong multiple times?
He claims it was great.
well, okay, well wasn't the way they explained it was the whole reason for the Civil War was because they were running out of power because they were freeing people from the Matrix. So Neil Patrick Harris created a new version of the Matrix that was solely relying on Neo and Trinity and torturing people instead of giving them their like their desires or whatever, their perfect world.
Well,
Right?
kind of, but there were other
So
people
weird.
in the new Matrix because that's where what's her name's character escaped from.
There's actually
but-
okay. There's one thing I actually really like about what they added, and that's the swarm mode idea. The fact that you could like turn the people against you in like large waves. I thought that was kind of cool. It's like zombie movie esque.
That was okay, and I'll get to that in a second. But what I want to also point out is that the I just want to finish the what happened to Zion train of thought.
Mhm.
Supposedly when the civil war in the machines happened and a new power rose, Morpheus ignored it because peace had been declared, and then it's basically implied that the machines attacked Zion again and actually killed everyone who didn't escape, because that's why they have
That is
that
so
cave
dumb.
with the statue of Morpheus and all the candles, and she says something like, this is the candles for everyone who like was blind, like with Morpheus, who had faith in him.
It didn't seem like that many candles then.
Apparently, who knows? Maybe it was Morpheus and 4 dudes who like stayed in the basement.
So the
Was
machines attack the
Morpheus and
humans
that
again.
guy.
So they're fighting the machines again.
Yes, but now there's like factions of the machines, some of which are living with the humans, some of which are like not, some of like everyone's doing their
What
own
do the
thing
machines have to gain from like living with humans?
because they're happy.
And what do the
That's-
machines have to gain from killing the humans?
They're a threat to the Matrix.
But if they're freeing people, do they actually have the resources to support the population?
Apparently, Io looks insanely advanced. They're like they're like growing strawberries and shit.
They have a
down there.
synthetic sky.
If they were having food difficulty, they wouldn't be growing fucking strawberries. They would be back to the slop they had in Zion.
It's so dumb because I wonder like why do we still not have an explanation for who they wake up and who, like, how did they pick?
Because I guess they don't want to explain it.
That's the most interesting part to me, because that's the part I would relate to as a person. Like, what is it that about somebody that would make them like have them potential for being woken up, for having someone come contact you and explain it to you and try to like wake your mind from the machine?
I
the fact
kind of
that
missed that. Go on.
The fact that there's even a Matrix still is stupid. And like I said, I think that it's just hampered by the fact that it's a sequel to the Matrix.
I mean, that's
What if-
part of it, but like as I said, there's
What
a
if
lot
they
of
didn't
parts.
call it the Matrix? What if it was the same director and they said like it's a spiritual successor to the Matrix? And
If it had this same dialogue and action, I think at best it could be a draw for me.
well, I
There
think
were-
it would have avoided a lot of the issues with this film because it doesn't have to depend on Trinity. It
Just
doesn't have to
call it
depend on
Resurrections.
Morpheus.
Don't even
If it
call
was
the
if it was
Matrix
like a different
Resurrections.
movie with different scenes, sure, it could be great. Like the core
I think the
concept.
concept was interesting.
The core concept, I agree. There's an interesting concept there. And there are a couple good scenes in this. Like, I think it's a cool scene when the people, it's disturbing, but it's a cool scene, are like jumping out of buildings, falling. Like, that's a disturbing scene, but it was interesting. But the thing is that, like, no one died. And also,
What's this movie rated, by the way?
PG-13, probably.
Oh,
But ultimately, like, I agree. It's a cool concept, but I think it is. Yeah, a lot of its issues probably do stem from its connection to the Matrix, but there's like within those connections, there are things they did that I think made it worse. They didn't have the same. I read somewhere that the guy who was in charge of the fight cinematography on either the original movies or it was John Wick or something is involved in this, but he's not the fight cinematography guy. He wasn't in charge of the fight cinematography.
I didn't have as much of a problem with the fighting because I already just think it's like way overblown and stupid.
I agree, but like I enjoy that final fight in the first Matrix. I
Yeah,
enjoy
right. The
seeing him
first
do.
Matrix. Is that what you're comparing it to? Because like
Yes.
that ship has sailed a long
100
time ago.
100%. I'm still going to compare it to that because if they're going to come back and make a new movie and be like we're going back to the Matrix, like it's a new thing, like it's then I'm going to compare it to the first of the last three. And the fighting in the second and third Matrix, while not up to par with the first one, was better than the fighting in this one.
If you say I to me they were on the same level. I didn't.
I think that was a definitive, like I think this, if you were to rank the four movies, this has the worst fighting.
I
I think
thought
I'm just
Bugs
gonna.
was so stupid.
Yeah, and I like her as an actor. She's another one of those people that I like as an actor. And her character was just fucking weird. The whole thing was weird. And that final fight, you know that
What
I
kind of
like
name is
action
Bugs?
But Bugs Bunny, that was the
I don't know.
reference.
Yeah, but that's stupid. Like no one else, like where the fuck is Porky Pig? Is he like hiding back in the fucking city of Iowa? But
The machines are coming.
yeah. And the thing is, you guys know that I like big set action pieces, and I like seeing like military hardware fighting, and that finale was so blasé and so boring, just helicopters shooting missiles, and he just like dodges them, and they like just move
Nothing
from
happens the
set
whole
piece to
movie.
set piece because they're on a rail.
I think honestly, like I don't have a lot more to say about this movie. I have one thing I want to mention about Morpheus, but I'm gonna add
Go
this
ahead.
to my
What?
chopping block before I get there. It happened with Terminator. It happened
So
with
you have
I
two
guess,
things to say.
yeah. Okay, let me continue. It happened with well, it didn't happen with Aliens. It happened with Terminator. It happened with this movie. There's another one. But all my it happened with Predator. All my favorite sci-fi movies are getting like really shitty sequels and like really shitty
That
continuations.
didn't happen with Aliens.
I didn't think Alien Covenant was that bad of a sequel.
I'm talking about Alien 4, bro. And
Alien 4
3.
doesn't count. That
What? No, you don't get to.
Wasn't that way like before this? Like it became everything became reboots and wasn't Alien 4 like an older
that
movie?
was like a
Yes.
long time ago.
So that was they just blew it. That was like now we're in this series of nothing original. You guys know this. Like my graphic novel is up for sale. The reason it's a graphic novel and not a movie is because anytime I went and like tried to push the script, I was basically told good script, but it needs an established fan base. Otherwise, it's too expensive. By the way, it's not too expensive because like it's literally set in one place for the most of the movie. There's some special effects, but like it's not too expensive. The shit that you see in The Witcher is like
But it has
comparable.
the established fan base.
It has these. So that's what it is. Yeah,
And
we're in a terrible era.
It makes total sense. It's fucked, but it makes total sense. If you're an exec, you're like, show me the proof that this is going to sell super well. Because
Right.
no one wants to
They
sell
don't want
something
that,
based
yeah.
off like
It's all
like-
about money.
it's hard to sell a movie when you know nothing about it if you're not going to put in the effort to introduce the audience and like do advertising.
Yeah.
But now they're like, I just want what it is to advertise.
There's no such thing as risk anymore. Everyone wants to play it safe.
Well, the alternative is you meet a celebrity or like a famous actor and you get them to want to do it somehow.
But then
if you know
basically
them
like
somehow.
they're the establishment then. Like they already
Right.
have an established fan base. So
That's the only
what it
other
is.
way. That's the only other way. And sometimes you need both. Like for a new thing, I think you need both.
What's the last big original thing we saw?
Original?
I have to go back through the episodes.
But even if we're not thinking about episodes, like here, let me pull.
What comes to mind was like Uncut Gems.
Uncut Gems was really
that was
good.
2 years ago.
But that wasn't that wasn't big.
I'm going through our episode
That
list.
had good word of mouth. I'm just looking. Eternals, Dune, Last Duel, Many Saints of Newark, Venom, Harry Potter. I mean, yeah, Bridge of Spies. There was some Tom Hanks stuff.
I mean, Bridge of Spies, but that's based off a book. But that could be like more original. It's more original than what we see today.
Army of the Dead.
Yeah,
I mean, but
that wasn't great.
That's a Netflix movie. That would have been cheaper. My movie is cheaper than Army of the Dead, but Zack Snyder wanted to do it, and that's why it got made.
The Green Knight. I mean, it's based off an established thing.
The Green Knight. if you consider that to be big, which it's an indie film, I think. You
There's
could call it an
Tenet, I
indie
guess, but that was awful. So
Yeah,
Tenet,
but that
and it
had
might
his
be the
name
answer.
though. But that
Yeah.
had that's
Well,
like
everything that we would see would have to be anything that's actually popular would have to have somebody attached to it. I think Tenet is the right answer.
The Irishman.
Like something that isn't tied to like, oh, I'm gonna go see it because there's already like a pop culture
Oh yeah,
like.
yeah.
So
well, I
Tenet
guess like
does count.
for Tenet, it's that Christopher Nolan is such a great director. People are expecting it to be great. So
Right. Are we saying what's the last big original thing or just the last big good thing that we saw?
Well, we're trying to say the last big good original thing we saw.
How about The Five Bloods?
Green Mile is good,
Extraction?
but that's based off a book.
Yeah. Well, that's
But
also that's
I don't really
before.
like the Netflix stuff has some like serious issues in my
No, I
opinion.
agree. I know that I'm just reading what these are what we have.
Red Sea diving resort.
Oh my
Parasite.
God.
Parasite was a big movie.
Parasite was a
didn't-
really big one.
It was a
Yep.
foreign movie, but and that's like you said. It
But Everett
doesn't
understood
really
it.
count.
So
Oh my God, I'm never gonna
Parasite.
live that down.
Parasite would be the most successful like unknown thing that people saw and were like, wow. There's also a Marriage Story on Netflix. I don't think that was as popular.
I
And
like
then there's
Marriage
Uncut
Story.
Gems. Uncut Gems was the other one.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, Emerson, do you have a fight of the week?
Yeah. So my fight of the week, usually when we have a bad movie, I do like a how would you rewrite it? So I am curious.
Well, that's
Kia,
what I
but-
figured that you were going to ask.
Yeah. And you've already started kind of talking about it. So if you were told, you were given the instructions, we want you to make the next Matrix movie, what do you do?
Easy. It's called The Matrix Origins, and it's about how Morpheus got awoken and his path to finding Neo. Like the end is him finally
So it would
tracking
be
down
like a
Neo.
prequel.
It can only that's the only thing it could be. There is nothing else. There's no after. There's nothing there.
You got that weird alien shit that Emerson told us about, waking up the pilot.
No, they butchered the ending. That's the problem. Is the ending is butchered. They put out a shitty movie and they acted like it was so good that it was like the final word on the franchise. So like you can't come back. He got peace. It's vague. No one knows what that means. So you can't even say like, oh, but peace didn't work. Oh, the machines started fighting each other. There's a civil war. What the fuck are they talking about? Neo's alive. Trinity's alive. What are we talking about? Stupid. Like honestly, you really have to like do mental gymnastics to try to make a fourth movie happen in a sequel form. I think the guy that played Morpheus did a good job. He had a very shitty role. It's not his fault. Like he wasn't good in the movie, but it's not his fault. He's a good actor. He was in that Chicago 7 movie. That dude, as a young Morpheus, tell us what it takes to wake people up, what that means, how he picked his squad, why when he met the Oracle, what she told him, put him on the path to like, this is my vision and I'm going to accomplish it. He finds Neo and we know that he does accomplish it. And, you know, the ending means that he was right. Don't come back later and be like, he was wrong. Like,
Oh, also remember when they
mean,
randomly killed off the Oracle off screen? They're like, yeah, the Oracle's dead. So
She got
like,
purged, which I don't know why they didn't just do that before. You know what would be at least in my mind, an interesting idea? What if you do like a reverse of the Matrix, where instead of you wake up Neo, who's the chosen one,
you
like a
put him
person?
back to sleep.
No, why don't you like have someone who's a program who doesn't know it, who wants more than anything to like go to the real world, and then they find out like you're not a real person, you're an actual like a program that has to live in the Matrix.
How would a program know that it's not the real world?
Well, they've established that like programs and people live together in the Matrix. Like
Right.
what if
But how
what if
would
like
he-
some like they rewrite the Matrix to both store human personalities and like the exile personalities to like almost like a prison for them. Like they can't escape and fuck around with the
Well, I
normal
get that,
machine
but
world.
you said that he wants to go to the real world, and then it's a revelation that he's not a real person.
Okay, then I guess like scratch that then. Like
Well,
they
I
have like robots and synthetics living in the
I
real world.
think
Why don't you
what-
have like a person
I
who
think
thinks they're
whatever.
a real person who's like actually
Yeah,
like
he's saying that you're living in the Matrix. You think it's the real world. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you like come across this realization that it is not the real world. And so you're, wanting to leave and you don't understand why you're not being taken out. And then the
Then we don't
revelation
know how they pick anybody. So like, why
exactly.
would they pick a program?
But that would be the revelation that he is a program. The
How does
problem
he
is,
get awoken?
I don't know. They fucking extracted a program in this movie. Do you guys recognize that?
Yeah, Morpheus like just existed in like that
Morpheus
weird
was
Right.
in there and they took him out.
And
I
he was
don't
like
know.
a digital cloud thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Fuck. I forgot to make my comment on Morpheus. I hated him in this movie, and I have one reason. The whole point of him in like the first movie, like one of the whole points is he's teaching Neo to like unlock your mind. That's what being human over a machine is like superior. You can unlock your mind and read past the lines, and the machines have to follow rules. By killing off original Morpheus and just remaking him as a program, you've now denied him that ability. He's pure program. He can't do any of that. He has to follow the rules. That's the rules they've established, right?
They don't need him to do that because he's not. It's not the real thing, right?
But he's still a program. He's still like a
knows?
created
Right, but
personality.
doesn't Neo already exist? Like that Morpheus is not going to find Neo and turn him into the one, is he?
No, he's not. But the thing, what Everett's basically just saying is they're just shitting on the original character even more, is what Everett's main point.
I just think that he's just unnecessary. I don't know why he even exists. Why do they go back and like the way the movie starts, just from a writing perspective, like if you start the movie like showing clips of the Matrix and you turn it in and you show us that it's actually like Anderson making the game, and you're like, wait, it's a game and he's making it, and like clearly that there's something wrong there. If it was WandaVision, we would have 6 more hours of them hinting that the game and like something's not right, like something weird is around Neo, and him like clearly getting told like, yeah, this whole thing's fake, and he's like, I'm gonna pretend that didn't happen and just keep going. Like, but no, like you start the movie like that because we know that he's Neo. We know that he's not a guy who made the game. So like within the first 15 minutes, he realizes it, and then the movie goes. If you were gonna do it that way, but the way they started, where it's like fake Trinity and like bugs, and then Morpheus who's an agent. I mean, there's so much weird shit. I got to be honest. I kind of checked out at that point. And I was sort of pulled back in because I liked watching them like spitball, like that montage, the White Rabbit montage. I was like, this is interesting. If it was a different movie, I think I would like it. Whatever is happening now, ultimately, I could feel that this movie's going to turn into him like waking up and doing Jesus shit again. And I don't care about that. Was the
you were
worst part.
wrong because he woke up and did normal shit, and then Trinity became Jesus.
Yeah. Everyone
they
remembers that
both
part of the
fly
Bible where
around?
Jesus had a sidekick.
Yeah, at the very end, they both were flying.
Yeah, so this should have been a prequel. Like,
Yeah,
straight
okay.
up, you could have really explored. You could have gone back to when they were scared of agents and the agents were a real threat, and you would have had to done something with Hugo Weaving. But I think if you have the glasses on, like he doesn't look that much older. You de-age him a tiny bit.
But he didn't want to come back.
No, it's not that. It's he had another project he was working on.
And I would say then fucking wait. You waited like 20 years. Like wait another year, wait another 6 months if you have to.
I'm glad he didn't come back for this, honestly.
Apparently,
Well,
they
for
didn't even
this is
ask Lawrence
stupid.
Fishburne.
Yeah. For this is
They
like
didn't need Lawrence Fishburne. Because he would have been dead. Oh, why did they age only 20 years when everyone else aged 60?
Because
they're clones.
They like
Seriously?
reconstructed them.
Yes,
almost.
that part they get literally rebuilt. Like they're dead, and then the machines like clone them, resuscitate.
So it took
So they-
like
they
40
cured
years
death.
to clone them.
Basically,
Was it like 40 years of reconstruction?
Well, apparently he tried to recreate Neo multiple times and it failed multiple times. So it like took a while for him to figure out it was Neo plus Trinity.
Why couldn't they just do that to Morpheus?
But like, what are they saying? That it was love that,
Apparently,
but he didn't have love for a while. Like he made all those games and didn't have love.
I don't know.
So how come it worked that time?
who knows?
This whole movie's a
stupid.
headache. Yeah.
Just stupid. I got to be honest with you. I don't think that there seems like they're going to be a sequel. I think I'm done. I don't think I need to see another Matrix movie.
Should I add The Matrix to your chopping block list?
We've already added it.
Yeah,
After
the whole
this,
review.
after the first one, it's gone. It's on the list of bullshit. Do you actually have a list?
Yeah.
What's on the list? Just read
Hold
it.
on, let me find it and then I'll tell you.
Oh God.
Okay, here it is. Kia's chopping block list in order.
Okay, wait. For
Star-
people who don't realize, this is the list of things that were good and then were butchered, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I have some stuff on here that Cameron added, so I'm gonna isolate that.
Why would you
Cameron.
put Cameron stuff on Kia's list?
Okay, so in order,
Is it titled Kia's list?
Kia's the chopping block
And
list.
then you put Cameron stuff on there?
I put some, yeah, I because
This
I
is
was
the
talking to
type
him
of
about it.
reporting you can expect from the Iron Coop Fights movie.
Okay, so you're the things that you've added, and by the way, the Matrix is not on here, so I'm gonna add that.
Well, that's an oversight by you because we definitely shit on 2 movies.
So in order, it's Star Wars, Marvel, Mass Effect, Harry Potter, The Crown, Game of Thrones, The Sopranos, Terminator, Halo.
Wait, oh
Ghost
yeah, Sopranos,
Recon,
yeah. All right, after Sopranos, what?
Terminator, Halo,
Yep.
Ghost Recon, Splinter
Yep.
Cell,
Yep.
Sex Education, Christopher Nolan, Arkham Games, Assassin's Creed, X-Men, and now The Matrix.
I like that Christopher Nolan is on there. As a
As
person.
though he's a trilogy.
He's ruined.
Not Christopher Nolan movies, Christopher Nolan.
I mean, it doesn't mean that I hate every single one of these things, but like if you tell me there's a new one of any of those things, I'm just like, whatever.
And for your own curiosity, the things that Cameron added were Borderlands, Teen Titans, Rooster Teeth, Call of Duty, Disney Channel, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, and Fallout.
I don't know that any of those things are high enough quality that I actually care.
Yeah, that's why I have it separated.
But it should be said, sometimes stuff surprises you, because when we were talking about how you don't care about Marvel anymore, that was before Eternals came out, and then you were pleasantly surprised by Eternals.
Could be because of the low expectations. Yeah.
Well, Spider-Man was also pretty good.
Well, we knew Spider-Man. We talked about how Spider-Man was like kind of the last of the Mohicans that we were still kind of interested in. I mean, everything else we were I'm still like, even now more than ever, like I'm even less interested in Doctor Strange.
I think they're just gonna butcher it, like the way he.
I have some
showing.
leaks that we'll go over.
Okay.
But
I'm sure this list will grow in the future.
what else? I mean, Black Panther seems like it's going to be a train wreck. Nobody's fault on that one, but the Marvels don't care. She-Hulk.
What about
I have no
Fantastic
expectations.
Fantastic Four is a ways off, though.
It's a ways off. Yeah. So.
But you trust the director.
I do. People have been hating on him a bit.
Why?
Why?
They say that he has no like cinematography skills, and that the Spider-Man movie, and I kind of agree because rewatching the previous Spider-Man films, especially the Raimi ones, they do a lot more shots of him like being Spider-Man and like swinging, like he'll jump off a building and swing, and it's very like they're wider shots that really show like the motion of Spider-Man. The Watts films are very like cookie cutter in that way. The way that they're like framed and they show things like you might see Tom Holland do a flip, and I almost feel like they went too far on that because then they seem to lean away from showing him doing like real Spider-Man things on wires and or like CGI in wider shots. You see some of it, but it's usually very close up. Whatever he does, it's not a big deal to me. But I have noticed. I also think part of it is like when something's successful, there's always a certain group that shits on it, and like we tend to be part of that group, but not because it's successful, but usually because people are overhyping it. I see these as like kind of unfair criticisms. Like even if it's true, it doesn't mean he's a bad director. Like that's kind of what they're saying, is that he's the weakest and he's the worst. And I'm like, this dude like oversaw some of the best Spider-Man scripts. Like the Mysterio thing. Mysterio is a good villain, like one of the best. And this No Way Home, like it's a mess, but they pulled it off somehow.
I mean, yeah, for the most part, like all of his Spider-Man movies have been 3 for 3.
And I'm sure that, and like in hindsight, like I like Michael Keaton as the Vulture. Like, you know, he was into that. He picked Michael Keaton and he decided to do the Vulture and he did it in a cool way. And, you know, maybe not all the writing comes straight from him, but In fact, most of it probably doesn't, but he still okayed it, and he still told a really good story. Like, he's the one probably that framed Michael Keaton's face in that car. When like, I don't know. I agree. Like sometimes it's not a cinematic. The cinematography is not a cinematic, but whatever. Okay. You guys want to talk Hawkeye?
Sure.
Yeah,
Let's get it out of the
sure.
way.
Okay. Well, let me put it this way. Can you rank the Disney Plus shows, the Marvel shows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So should we go bottom to top or top to bottom?
We're gonna go full spoilers for Hawkeye.
Mhm.
Just tell me, just tell me the order that from top to bottom.
Okay, so I would say
It's only like 4, right? 4 or 5.
the
There's
best
like
one
5,
so
yeah.
far is Loki. Loki is the best one.
Mm-hmm.
See, the problem is then they all get really questionable. As an entire Hawkeye up to this episode was 2.
So it's not 2 now.
I think it still is, but it definitely there's a long drop between Loki and Hawkeye, I would say. And then you get Hawkeye, and then beneath Hawkeye is Falcon and Winter Soldier, I guess. And then beneath that is WandaVision.
What about What If? Did you watch What If?
That's at the
I-
bottom.
Oh, okay.
Everett, what about you?
Yeah, I'd probably say the same thing. But I would say, like, I would definitively put Hawkeye in the number 2 spot, purely because, like, except for the last episode, the rest of it was pretty on par, pretty good. And if you compare that to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I don't think it's anywhere near the quality. In fact, actually, here, let me rephrase that. Loki's number 1 for me. Number 2 is this one, Hawkeye. Number 3 is WandaVision. Number 4 is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And number 5 is What If. That's my
I agree
list.
with that, because I think that WandaVision at least had really good acting. That would put it above Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I always think that the first episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier was not bad. Like,
but the
first
rest of the
episode-
show just dropped. Like,
But that's why I put Falcon and Winter Soldier above WandaVision.
I thought WandaVision's last episode was at least on par with the first episode of Falcon. And like I vaguely remember that Halloween episode not being too bad. That might have been like
not just because you like the low cut outfit she was wearing.
But I think it was a better episode, if I recall.
Yeah, I remember us saying that it picked up a little, but then it slowed down again. So
it was at the peak of like Quicksilver had shown up, but we didn't know he was like total bullshit yet.
Yeah, and he was kind of acting like a villain and like.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think Hawkeye's number 2. It would have been my number 1 strictly because I like Haley Steinfeld. I think she's a great actress, and I think that her and Jeremy Renner had like good chemistry, and I think that is what the show did the best, which settled some of the complaints of the filler. Like I only think like episode 4 or 5, I forget which one. The one where Yelena shows up.
4 was where Yelena shows up.
So I think that was the one that I felt was a little bit fillerish, but most of it kind of got a pass by me, even though not much was really going on, because I liked their bonding. Like I felt like that was progress, even if the plot itself was like not really making progress. Whereas the other shows like Wanda and Vision, like Vision's not real. You keep talking to him like he's real. You don't know that he's not real. You're the one that made him. Like, why? How many episodes of this are we going to do? Falcon and the Winter Soldier is literally like the dumbest shit ever.
Yeah. And also remember in WandaVision, everyone was like, oh, she's been trapped in here by someone, Mephisto, Agatha, whoever was.
Yeah.
And then the whole fandom thought that. And then when it was revealed she put herself in there, everyone like about faced and was like, oh, it's so obvious the whole time. And it's like, no, the reason all those theories were coming out was because it doesn't make sense for her to be doing the thing she's doing and trap herself in there.
Yeah. And to have no clue or context, like you don't know that Vision tried to escape the thing when you created him, and like his mind is your mind. Like you don't know that. Doesn't make any fucking sense. Anyway, enough about that. But on Hawkeye, I'm not saying this last episode was so bad that like throw the whole thing out, but any goodwill that I was giving it, anything that I was giving it a pass on, went right out the window.
Yep.
And I had the fortune to watch it with Claudia, and like she's kind of on the same page, and it just happened to be one of the dumbest episodes ever. So I actually had a lot of fun laughing at it. The line when Vera Farmiga, I mean, you got to think this is a fantastic actress. Like this is like top tier actress, right? That she has to seriously stand there and be like, "Is this what heroes do? Call the police on their moms on Christmas?" I mean, what the fuck? How does that make it into the final show? How does a line like that make? She could just say nothing.
This feels like a different. Something happened. I want to know what happened.
I know what happened, but don't you feel bad for Vera Farmiga? Like,
yes,
yeah,
I feel bad for all of them.
I'm
plot lines
physically
were dropped
cringing.
and other shit. Like
Usually when I see bad lines, I'm like, oh, that fucking movie. But this is the first time I've ever been like, that poor woman. Like, I can't believe they made her say that. What the fuck? Like, to be part of the MCU and they do you like that. Like, can you imagine? I mean, I'm sure she signed on. She's like, yeah, it's an easy payday, like 6 episodes of bullshit. I don't have to do anything. I just have to sit there in a chair most of the time. Like, she murders someone in the show. You don't even see her do it. Like, she does nothing, basically. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. And I know I'm like, people are like, that's what you focused on the most. But it's like that alone kind of gives you a perfect image.
It's a microcosm of the episode.
Like, how do you get to that point? So many things had to have gone wrong. Here's what happened. They are amateur writers. They didn't know how to handle Fisk. He was like too much for them. Right away when he showed up,
it feels
the dialogue was like, he's normally like sharp and precise with his dialogue and like threatening, intimidating. I remember and I wish I wrote it down, but there was one line he said when he was talking to Vera Farmiga where he said something like, and this wasn't the exact line, but he's like, so like, can you do this for me so I can do the thing? Like, it was something very like general words. Like he said thing or stuff. And I'm like, this doesn't sound like Fisk at all.
Yeah. And they're fucked doubly because Fisk was done really well overall by someone else. And when I see him, I have an expectation of how he's going to act.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the problem with what they did. Apparently, the idea is that Fisk did not blip. And as a result, he was able to like regain some power. And like Daredevil did blip and all that. That makes some sense.
Yeah.
If you were going to do that, and I think that they did do that, but there's almost no mention of it, right? Like, he never says that he blipped or anything.
I didn't know that was.
The only evidence is that he is back in power, and you're like, how? Like, that's the only reason that you would suggest that maybe he took advantage of the blip somehow. If you were going to do that, he would have to be the villain from episode 1.
Yeah.
Like, he needs to be clearly influential. Did Hawkeye get hired by him to kill Echo's dad?
I think
indirectly, yes.
Okay, wouldn't he, if he knew that, wouldn't he also want to go after Fisk? Was he only a mercenary?
I don't think he was hired.
He wasn't hired. He wasn't a mercenary. He was tipped off indirectly by Fisk through a middleman to take out Echo's dad.
I thought Kazi was the one that tipped him off.
Yeah, Kazi's the middleman for Fisk.
Right. And Hawkeye knows this. He knows
but
that
he
Fisk
didn't. Yes, it's a plot hole. Why the fuck is he not taking out Fisk?
Especially as he's gaining all this power and influence. He could have killed Fisk as soon as he got out of jail. He knows who Fisk is, assuming previous stuff is like somewhat canon.
He knows who he is, and he multiple times he's like, this is someone you don't want to mess with. This is someone we don't want to draw his attention.
Seems like somebody, especially since he's beaten the justice system multiple times,
might need to be put down.
Yeah.
Definitely on Ronan's list of people to kill. What if he tried? Now, I also think that an interesting thing that would have happened, and in my mind, it did happen because this show did not happen. But he, during the blip, like whatever her name was from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he was able to source some type of super soldier serum. And what this does is it makes him a physical threat in a way that he wasn't before. And so, like, if Matt were to meet him again, things would go very differently.
Because now he's like Captain America. Okay.
And even someone like Spider-Man would have trouble with him now at this point. Because he's on a different level now. And with his resources and ability and in the confusion of the blip, which we've already established as a precedent, not that it doesn't seem like these shows talk to each other at all, but there's a precedent that like super soldier serums were up for grab.
Yes.
And I don't remember how many there were in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
There were like 6 or
they
something.
wrote themselves.
They got broken. Remember, only one vial survived.
Yeah, but there could have been extra vials if they wanted.
Yeah, they wrote, but whatever. I don't even consider that show anything either. It was like the dumbest show I've ever seen. And so, but this had to have happened because of the way that he continues to get up after the beating he takes. I didn't like that Kate Bishop. I thought he was going to beat the fuck out of her.
Yeah, that was I was like, you were not ready for this. And then
this was like, her like education. Like everybody else was playing with you. This guy, she's just a girl with fucking arrows.
He's a monster. That's the point. He's like, this is a different level of threat, but instead it's like, nah.
He literally tanks an arrow to the chest and snaps it in half.
Right. That's why I was like, oh, he's done something to himself. But apparently he's just stronger for plot reasons. Like he's just a stronger version.
But not strong enough.
Yeah.
And then she drives the car into him. I mean, it's just like I remember saying, like, how did she even make the turn from where she was compared to where, like, to even make that turn to accelerate enough to hit him that fast? I mean, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen.
There's like an Austin Powers scenario, just like.
And how would he not know?
It was a real disappointing showing for him. It was a really
don't worry, I'm sure they'll fix him in the future when he shows up, right?
People they have a problem with the Hawaiian shirt, and apparently it's from the comics. I mean, he did look pretty funny with the cane and pimp hat. I mean, that was funny. I don't have a problem with that as much as I have a problem with how he was written.
The New York's greatest pimp.
The other thing is they padded him up. Did you notice?
Yes.
And it looks dumb.
Yeah.
It looks bad. He doesn't look like a normal person at all. He looked like a regular person before. And yeah, he had kind of a baby head. They didn't fix the baby head by giving him like maybe padding his traps a little bit, making him a little more hunched like he is in the comics. Instead, they just made him like wider. And it's clearly, it doesn't match his face. It doesn't match his head. He's just wider for no reason. Then he does, so Echo shoots him. And this is apparently a nod to the comics where he goes blind temporarily.
I assumed she just killed him off screen. And I was like, they fucking venomed him. This is awful.
He didn't die. There's no way he died. This is the problem. This is what I'm saying. Like, if you were going to build up to him being like the big deal on the final episode, you really needed to have sprinkled him way more in this series.
For sure. Because he shows up and then he's dealt with and it's like comical. But just
him fighting Kate and kicking Kate's ass should have happened like episode 3. And they can't even touch him legally. Like they can't even accuse him. Hawkeye is like, he'll kill you. Like you need to hide. And
okay, but just for a moment, because I agree with you. This was butchered completely. But so what you're saying that he's still alive and this is how he becomes blind?
He's going to become blind.
I thought he was
like
killed
Daredevil?
Off.
Yes. Well, I don't know if he's going to be like Daredevil.
No, but he's blind. Like, what the fuck? Why?
In the comics, he does that, and then he gets I don't know, something. I forget, but it's not even. It's like, who cares? Is my point. It's like I could look into it if it was good, but I have no interest in whatever.
Well, I care because, like, I agree with you that almost all of it was bad. I thought that was like the cherry on top of like stupidity, just killing him off and reintroducing. But now I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to see more of him if he's going to be like this.
Like he even says like an eye for an eye right before she shoots him.
Yeah.
So that's a reference. Like he lost his eyes. Yeah.
Okay.
I know. The other part that pissed me off was this was, I don't know, it's supposed to be like a big finale. They're fighting at that square, the ice rink. I forget what it's called.
Mhm.
Do you know what it's
No,
called?
yeah, isn't it like it's the Rockefeller
Rockefeller Center,
Center?
something like
Yes,
that.
Rockefeller
You're not
Center.
gonna bring up the shitty CGI owl, are you?
What was that owl?
It's based off some real story that an owl was found living there and like was nursed to health or some shit.
And it
apparently.
carried off two shrunk dudes.
So there was a post-credit scene that was cut that was supposed to be the owl like tormenting the shrunken guys.
No.
By the way,
Why did they cut it?
they were not even anything. Like they were not a gang. Why would Fisk even deal with those morons?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Fisk, like, and this is the problem and the good thing. We have an establishment of how Fisk operates. And the problem here is that the Fisk we know, and especially when you're going to cast the same fucking actor who's apparently canon from the same stuff, which is really strange to start with, but whatever. Because that's a bad idea to take someone with 3 seasons of established history and then be like, he's back, but whatever. He murders people for doing minor things that are out of line and unreliable. Remember the 2 Russian guys from the first season of Daredevil, the taxi cab drivers?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, he ends up taking them out because they can't control themselves, and it's driving him insane because they're bumbling morons almost. Not like
this is the same guy that bashed some dude's head in with a car door.
They're
Remember
more
that?
professional. The guys in the taxi cab brothers, they're more professional than the tracksuit mafia, and he murders them for less.
I mean, maybe I'm a genius, but we've been talking about this for 10 minutes and I already like kind of have a better way of doing this. Like, as I said, episode 3 is the episode where he comes out of nowhere. Like we don't expect him, right? We don't think that he's the guy. They talking about the big guy. Every fucking episode has like the guy that is doing the thing behind the shadows. We don't expect Vincent D'Onofrio to show up as Kingpin. He beats Kate Bishop for getting too close and sniffing around because probably in front of her mother is what should happen. Is that she's too afraid to do anything to him, and he basically beats the shit out of her, but doesn't kill her, and says, handle your daughter from this point on. Hawkeye, and then we don't even see what happens after. That's the end of the episode. Episode 4 should be Vincent D'Onofrio in jail, the blip, everything that happens. He should just walk out of fucking jail. There's no one there. He walks right out. We see how he like builds his resources. The whole episode should be just for him. Then you get to episode 5, and it's like Hawkeye trying to nurse her back to health, and like her mom calls Hawkeye, and now she's on their side, and she's going to try to set Fisk up with them. I mean, this is like off the top of my head. These people are getting paid millions of dollars to make a show. Like and then people praise it. But here's what's interesting, and actually what I meant to talk about at the beginning. If you go on Reddit, there's surprisingly some backlash against it.
Really? I hadn't seen that.
Well, if you're on Marvel Studios, you're not going to see it.
Okay, that's where I am.
But I'm seeing a lot more, like, not hate, but people basically criticizing the show for not being good enough. And I think part of it is because this is kind of a good recipe of there is higher quality comparisons of the exact same thing.
Daredevil, yeah.
And so, and that is where you can see it, where people have the expectation and then they see the reality. Whereas I'm like, so I saw someone made a good comment that I hadn't really considered, is like, they said that people who watch MCU shows and movies tend to not watch other things. And I don't know if that's true, but it would make sense why they think it's all good. Because I see better movies all the time. Like I know what good writing is, and I know what's shit writing. And when for the first time they have a direct comparison between good and bad. And remember, a lot of those people even love season 3, which like was.
I know a lot of people who watch all the MCU stuff who didn't even watch the Daredevil stuff because it was the Netflix shows. They were kind of separate.
Right.
And I'm really excited. Like I know some people who watch Spider-Man, and after Spider-Man, they're like, well, we're going to go back and watch Daredevil, and then we're going to watch Hawkeye. And I was like, good, go see what, because I really want to see what their opinion is.
So
if you really wanted to ruin their opinion, you should have recommended them Iron Fist.
They will see that too. I mean, but what I think is interesting is that this is one that they can directly compare to a higher quality version. you can't compare the Disney Plus shows to anything but other Disney Plus shows.
1 second. Someone's like driving around.
Which is an odd thing because like Falcon and the Winter Soldier wasn't that good. WandaVision wasn't that good. But compared to other Marvel shows, WandaVision is a lot better than like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or, if you don't count the Netflix stuff, then you're just comparing it to, what was the first one? Was it Falcon? Was that the first one?
No, WandaVision was the first one.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, so like they're comparing it to nothing, basically. Are you sure, Everett?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I guess so. Was Falcon supposed to be first and then it got delayed? I think that's
Falcon was supposed to come out around December, but then it got pushed, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So, I just think that is an interesting thing that happened. Sometimes it annoys me how far ahead of the curve we are because people are talking about superhero fatigue now. And we've been saying there's no such thing as superhero fatigue. It's as long as the movies are good, there's no superhero fatigue. When the movies are mediocre or the shows are mediocre, that's when people go, I'm kind of tired of this. So you're seeing it.
You kind of bypass that a little bit when you like Marvel has that established fan base that loves everything they release regardless. Like they don't care about quality anymore. They care about money. They care about pleasing people. Like
right,
that
I think that bubble is compromised a little bit now.
It's got some holes in it.
I think so because like what I'm seeing, I was shocked at the amount of people that were watching Hawkeye and went on Reddit and were kind of like, yeah, and like what was up with this and what was up with that?
Are we still discussing how people are like kind of acknowledging
and like superhero fatigue
flaws
and how like they were sort of just disappointed with it, which you never saw before. Like, how can you be disappointed with this, but you think WandaVision like met all your expectations? And it's a trend, and we've been ahead of this the whole time, and I think our listeners are too. Otherwise, they wouldn't listen to us, because we're kind of taking a hard stance against it. But this is one time where our opinion on the show is not that controversial, from what I can tell.
Yeah,
compared to,
I agree.
There's diehard fans, of course, like Everett was saying, but in like the casual viewer saw this and was like,
Jesus, 1 second.
This is bad,
I kind of wonder that concept kind of makes me think like I said, they're always going to be like the hardcore fans that love everything with Marvel in it. You're not going to get rid of those people that they're diehards forever. But the rest of the people who make criticisms and actually care to an extent, you can only go so far before you make something so ludicrously awful and you think that they're going to love it regardless, but it doesn't. Where is that tipping point where I think I'm explaining this a little bit.
No, I get it. I think we're getting there. I think what you saw with like Shang-Chi was one that you would think that would be one where people are like, wow, this movie is kind of all over the place.
You know what? I'm happy you mentioned Shang-Chi because and I know Emerson will agree with me because I had this discussion with him earlier. Spider-Man gave me the argument, and I think the argument that we talked about that we needed for Shang-Chi being awful, and that is, since Spider-Man broke $1 billion, Shang-Chi and Black Widow have no excuse now.
Yeah, that was going to be one of the things we were talking about in the news, but we could talk about it now.
I want to wait till Emerson gets back because I want to hear his thoughts. But
why'd you bring it up?
Well, I brought it up. I'm saying in terms of like, they have no excuse to be shitty movies now. Like, because people were arguing, saying, like, "Oh, I'm sure they would have made $1 billion if there wasn't a pandemic, if the circumstances were different."
Black Widow got a pass for being like, Scarlett Johansson's like, it's what they owed her, blah, blah, blah. Shang-Chi got a pass because of the Asian thing. Eternals, who actually tried something new, didn't get a pass, strangely enough. And then Spider-Man, I think, bought a lot of goodwill. So I think moving forward, you're going to we kind of actually got set back, but people were on the trend of like, these aren't as good, because what you saw, Everett, was that people did not go to the movies for Black Widow and Shang-Chi and Eternals.
Mm-hmm.
They really didn't. They acted like they did. The media acted like they did, reporting these bullshit numbers. Not that the numbers were bullshit, but the way they acted that it was a giant success was clearly like hype manipulation. Now you see what a real Marvel movie can do. It already broke $1 billion. Captain Marvel broke $1 billion. They're
I'm
on the
back.
same level. So we're talking about how Spider-Man is performing and what that means. All those articles about how well Shang-Chi and Black Widow did
Yeah, are worthless.
financially.
Yeah, it's like no, this is all nonsense.
You're seeing what like all these people that saw Spider-Man
Yep.
did not go to that movie because they made a conscious choice. Like, I don't care.
And
And the virus is worse than ever. So you can't
Yeah.
blame it on that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they also break $1 billion without the help of China? I thought Emerson you
Without
mentioned
the
that.
help of China. There's no
Without
release in China. Yeah. Those people did not show up for Shang-Chi, did not show up for Black Widow, did not show up for Eternals. So the idea that these movies are all killing it every single time, I think there's a slight turn. I think there is some superhero fatigue. I think that everything that they do that's always like setting up the next bullshit thing, I think people are getting tired of it. You have
It
to make
is
good
tiring.
stories.
It's
Yeah.
tiring to be like, I go to watch something like, look at the average viewer, not the super fan and not the critic, neither. Okay, because we're like critics more or less, and then there's the super fans who are on Marvel Street. Look at the average person. The average person will go watch like a whatever action movie, but they don't want to go watch a whatever action movie, and they're like, oh, there's gonna be 3 more. Like,
Right.
we can skip them. Like,
Right.
It's like going to those types of movies is like almost it's a system. You're being set up for Disney Plus shows and sequels, and it almost like too much shit's going on, and it kind of like gives you like motion sickness almost.
I mean, this is one of the reasons why I'm considering that our podcast might have to end at some point because I just don't care that much. Like, we could come back for big movies, but I'm just not that interested. They're not doing good things. It was interesting when we started, and now it's not interesting. And it's like the bulk of what we report on because they're not making any other movies. Like, nothing else is getting made besides franchise bullshit.
yeah,
And they all suck.
yeah.
And I mean, Spider-Man was cool, but that was really, it was fan service.
You liked Eternals.
I liked Eternals, but like, did I have to sit on a podcast and talk about it? Like, I didn't like it that much. I just liked it in comparison to how bad everyone said it was, and like compared to Shang-Chi, which was awful. So, Black Widow, like some of these movies, I honestly like. I regret the time I spent watching them. I really do. Like, my time is too valuable. I just think that there were a way. Like, Hawkeye was that finale, waste of time, absolute waste of time. You could have just told me the ending. What happens? Everything's
they
fine. Fisk
they
shows
win.
up and then dies and probably isn't dead. So it's like, okay, we don't really know where he stands then. Yeah, well,
But
we
even
didn't know
at
where
the
he
most
stood
basic
before.
part, they win. Like, they go back. Laura is Songbird or Mockingbird.
Mockingbird, who cares?
All the loose ends are tied up very neatly.
Are they?
I mean, yeah, Hawkeye and Black Widow reconciled. Kate
I mean,
Bishop
Fisk
gets
is
to
a
begin
pretty
her
big loose
tutorship.
end.
I mean, she's not trying to kill him
The
anymore.
whole thing is just questionable to me.
Anyway, do you guys have anything to say for Roundup?
No, not really.
I've been watching Curb Your
No.
Enthusiasm, and so there's a new season out. Let's see. Gaming. Anything to talk about for gaming?
Yeah, Ready or Not.
Okay.
So Ready or Not is a PC game that I've played like a little bit now. Me, Kia, and Everett and some other people played last night. And me and some people played today, although it was a less fun experience because of the level of attention being shown. But it's a pretty fun game, I would say. It's basically like squads. You're like a squad of up to 5, like SWAT guys. You get dropped into these maps. You have to clear, like no HUD, can die really quickly. I really enjoy it. One thing we need to try, Kia, I know it was making you motion sick, but one thing we need to try is, there's 4 other game modes that we didn't touch, like hostage rescue, bomb defusal, active shooter is one of the game modes. Like an active shooter, the gunman's running around murdering civilians, so you have to go faster to like find and stop them. Like,
yeah, sounds
raid.
good.
So it was a fun game. I like it. Recommend it to people.
How about trailers? Do we see any new trailers?
I feel like there was something, but I can't think of it off the top of my head.
They officially released the Multiverse of Madness trailer.
The
but
one
we've
from the
seen that
end of
already.
But we've seen that before.
It was bad.
Yep.
There were some things about No Way Home that I wanted to talk about, and I can't remember now because I had some more time with it. But oh well, maybe it'll come to me. Okay, so then let's jump into news,
All right.
and there's just a bunch of
The
news.
usual.
Marissa Tomei reveals she wanted to give Aunt May a girlfriend, played by Spider-Man producer Amy Pascal.
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Oh,
Holy
Oh
shit,
my
dude.
God.
Oh my
At one
god.
point, this was before even the idea of Happy showed up. There was a moment where I felt that maybe she should just be with a woman because Ben is gone, and who should she be with? And we were kind of talking about it. I actually really wanted Amy Pascal from Sony to be my girlfriend. I was like, no one even has to know Amy. I'll just be in a scene and you'll be over there and I'll just be like, hey, and it'll just be a subtle thing. So what this once again proves is the correlation with women being hot and crazy. Because she's hot, and this is the craziest shit I ever read. This is some you have to have some
That-
Fruit Loops to even. Amy Pascal is fucking hideous. You can't put her on a goddamn movie.
Bring up
And-
that video of her with Kevin Feige again, where she's like has just the frizzy hair.
Dude, what
I
the
will not-
fuck?
Like how does
Before
Marissa Tomei
disaster.
not realize that putting her as a lesbian in a movie with Amy Pascal would not make everyone be like, who the fuck is that person?
But also, I
It
just
would
want to
not
talk.
go
Like,
well.
look, it's just an odd thing to decide. Like, yeah, Aunt May should be in like bisexual, I guess.
I mean, even if she was bisexual, which I don't even care, but her rationale is like, well, Ben is gone, so why not a woman? And then to go Amy Pascal on top of that.
Oh man, maybe she was
That's some
jonesing for a pay
crazy-
raise or something.
That that is like, this is the kind of thing where this makes me want to never meet her in person because I'm like, this would disappoint. She would be crazy. You'd have to be crazy to have this idea. In a million years, in a million multiverses, there would be no version of me that would be like, yeah, I think that's a good idea. Never.
Oh my
Anyway.
God.
That was, yeah. All right, Vincent D'Onofrio seemingly let slip Hawkeye was one of the things Kevin Feige wanted him for. So I think that's interesting. We don't know what the other things were. What else would you guys think he would have done?
I don't know what else he would be great for, like physically, and I have no idea.
I kind of wanted to see him go up against Spider-Man at one point, but
Yeah, but what other role would he have
Yeah,
done?
we're talking about like the roles.
Could he have been the Watcher?
no.
That might be one.
I don't think it would have been good though.
Well, I mean, it wasn't even a big. It's just him saying things. He could do that. He could enunciate, but it would sound a lot like Fisk.
Yeah.
So, I don't know who else it could have been. Spider-Man: No Way Home will receive a Best Picture push.
I saw this. Oh God, I disagree with a part of this.
My gut reaction is like, "What are you crazy?" But what else was there?
Okay, there wasn't much else. However, there's going to be a quote in here referring to Martin Scorsese, which I disagree with.
Is it the thing where he says like Marvel
Unfortunately-
movies aren't real movies?
The Academy and other prestigious award ceremonies do tend to look down their noses on superhero movies, and for Tom Holland, that's unacceptable. You can ask Martin Scorsese, would you want to make a Marvel movie? But he doesn't know what it's like because he's never made one. Okay, but he's made movies. I've made Marvel movies, and I've also made movies that have been in the conversation in the world of Oscars. Like that one when he was a kid.
Just this next part of the quote is
The
where
only difference really is one is much more expensive than the other.
no, totally hard disagree on this.
But the way I break down the character, the way the director etches out the arc of the story and characters, it's all the same, just done on a different scale. So I do think they're real art. I think he's right.
Yeah.
I agree with him.
I think in theory
don't.
he's right. I think, the way a movie should be made is an art form, but big
think-
corporation movies like Marvel movies
Yeah,
don't do that.
that's what I disagree with. Like, I think a Marvel movie is not just the same as any other film, but more expensive because there's a totally different, like, top-down leaning thing that's determined to like, okay, we're going to turn this into a very specific type of thing.
It's
to,
very
like,
cookie cutter.
be cookie cutter, make money, and then it's going to set up these other things at the end, and then we're going to
Yeah,
have this
but-
cameo.
But they have that in Oscar-winning films too. Like pretty much any movie about racism is like in the ballpark for Oscar. And like anytime someone plays a retarded person.
Yeah, but the thing is that I don't agree that the average Marvel movie is just the same but more expensive than
But there's a lot of movies that get made. Like we just said, what else was there? So all
this
those
year
other
there
movies,
wasn't a ton.
So, but there were other movies. Were they just mediocre? Because that's pretty on par.
Yeah,
with
and
Marvel
sometimes they are
movies.
just mediocre, but like the thing is like
I would say most of the time. There's like usually like 4 or 5 in a year that you could say are above mediocre.
I don't like this quote. Maybe it's like elitism. Maybe it's just like my dislike of the idea that like Marvel movies are like high culture and like great cinema on average.
No, they're
I don't
not.
know.
But what is high cinema? Because there's
Parasite was a very like excellent
all right.
movie.
What was that? 2 years ago?
2 years ago. It doesn't mean they have to come out every year.
What
But
was last year's Best Picture?
I have no idea.
I guess 2021 already. I mean, hasn't happened, so it'd be 2020.
Yeah.
Right? No, it was 2021, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The Oscars are in March, so it would have been.
I mean, we could look, but there's a lot of good movies
So
there
like
that I think are higher.
1917, we didn't love
loved
that one.
I loved it. You weren't a big fan. Once
Did it
Upon a
win Best Picture?
I don't think so. I think it should have won soundtrack.
Parasite won Best Picture. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
These are
Parasite
all just
beat it.
Parasite. So The Irishman, that was like pretty
No,
dumb.
that wasn't great.
A Marriage Story was okay.
Yeah, mediocre.
Jojo Rabbit, I didn't like. I don't think that it was better or worse than a Marvel movie.
I like Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, it's okay. Like, it was okay. Little Women, I didn't even see that.
I didn't see it.
I mean, there's Joker as well. I saw a lot of people mad that Joker didn't win.
Okay, well, let's go through the list
Also got
sequentially.
silly. Ford versus Ferrari was
Fine.
And 1917, it had a lot of like plot armor and all that shit that you see. Sound of Metal, I didn't see. That seems like it would be higher cinema. Mank was okay. I liked it, but I didn't love it. Minari, I didn't see. Judas and the Black Messiah, I didn't see. The Father, I didn't see. Promising Young Woman, I heard was good. No one really talks about it.
Trial of Chicago 7, I heard was really good.
That was a good film. I wouldn't call it high cinema, but it was really well done. And I would say that just the writing on it was better than a Marvel movie. But so we're really just talking about writing. And I think most movies, I mean, there was a lot of other movies that we're not seeing that were released.
No, I agree. There's a lot of films that are not great. I 100% am with you. And I agree that a lot of them are on par with Marvel movies. But what he's talking about here is like, he's talking about like, well, the Marvel movies like are fair to go up into an Oscar. And I don't think Marvel movies should start winning Oscars. I don't think they're that good.
They deserve it. If they deserve it.
Yeah, but I haven't seen.
Civil War was really well done, well acted, good music.
Yeah,
good writing.
Civil War, I could see being like, I could see that going, but like, okay, like Shang-Chi, should Shang-Chi be in? Even this Spider-Man was really good. I don't know if I would say it's Oscar worthy.
No, it's not. But most of the, like, what else would you say is Oscar worthy that came out? I wouldn't say anything.
Well, but this is weird. Like, we haven't seen a lot. I think Green Knight was pretty good.
I mean, maybe for Best Actor. I don't think that the movie itself really. Let's see. Original song, who cares about that? Documentary, international, who cares? Makeup and hairstyling, who cares? Sound, why is it like?
Because they know what you want to see and they want as much time on the page as possible.
Live action short. Okay, Best Picture.
Live action short, but
are these the Best Picture nominees?
These are the predicted nominees. I don't think they've been announced.
Okay, yet. Belfast, didn't see it.
Dune's
Power
on that
of the
list?
Dog with Benedict Cumberbatch. I haven't seen that either. Have you guys?
No.
Okay, I mean, maybe like it's Dune doesn't belong there. West Side Story is a musical. I'm not interested in that. I heard Licorice Pizza was good for some people. Some disagree. I never saw Coda. King Richard, definitely not. I mean, it's a good movie, but it's not Oscar worthy. The Tragedy of Macbeth. I don't want to see any of these like remakes, especially like West Side Story.
Yeah.
Drive My Car, I haven't seen. Don't Look Up, I heard is interesting, but from what I saw, I don't think that It's gonna make it. Being the Ricardos, is that coming out like this month or something?
I don't know.
Nightmare Alley, Tick Tick Boom, The Lost Daughter, No Time to Die,
No Time to Die doesn't belong there either.
Spider-Man No Way Home, The Harder They Fall, Come On, Flee. So basically, I mean, nothing here really has any buzz.
Yeah, but I think that could also be just due. Well, a lot. To be fair, a lot of the movies that are like Oscar movies very rarely have a lot of buzz.
I don't think anything here. I mean, I'll check out The Power of the Dog. I don't like Benedict Cumberbatch that much, so I'm pretty much kind of assuming that it's I'm not gonna love it, but I don't think anything here would even come close to my top 10. So like that's pretty fair, comparable to Marvel movies. Anyway, and also like cinema is kind of a dead art, I think. It's basically been boiled down to Netflix things with that are like half baked and quickly produced, and like giant Marvel blockbusters that are all about like action and bad writing. Hawkeye reportedly cut a post-credit scene with blank setting up the character's return. There was a very different plan for Kingpin. Apparently, the season finale originally included a post-credit scene with Fisk receiving Ronan's sword and a message from Clint Barton warning the villain to stay away from both his and Kate Bishop's families. Because, like, obviously he's going to kill them, right? Like, it's so stupid.
Yeah, he's like, shit, he warned me. I better stop. Like, no.
Here's a weapon to do it with.
Yeah, why did he send the sword? So stupid. Here's interesting. The Flash confirmed to feature Man of Steel stars Michael Shannon and Auntie Trow. I don't know how you say her name. As Feora. That's interesting. I like her. Yeah. Maybe we'll get a Hot Toys of her.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe even a Zod 2.0, maybe. The Matrix Resurrections brings back some familiar characters. I wanted to just...
We probably covered all of these.
I meant to talk about that. We didn't really talk about Niobe.
I don't like Jada Pinkett
So
Smith.
I didn't realize this was the little girl.
Yeah, that was the little girl.
But I don't care anyway. Niobe, I think I didn't care about that either. Batman actor Michael Keaton confirmed to return as the Dark Knight for HBO Max Batgirl movie.
Okay.
I'll take it. I like him. I don't care. I mean, I don't even care what happens in the movie.
You like him until they butcher him.
I just want the action figure. I don't care. I have no hopes for any of this stuff anymore. Jessica Henwick was eyed for Jie Ling role in Shang-Chi, but was holding out for a return for Colleen Wing. That definitely did come up in the discussion. If I did Shang-Chi, I would effectively be putting Colleen to bed. Is that true? Because they're talking about Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven. You guys heard that?
Yeah.
No.
We talked about it on the
It wasn't
podcast.
the main factor, but it definitely came up in conversation. I love Colleen. She changed my life. Of course, if I was given the opportunity to revisit her, I would. But I just don't know how likely that is. Charlie knew about that opportunity years ago. He already knew it was happening. I think I would have heard by now if there were any plans with Colleen.
Yeah, Colleen Wing changed my life too. She made me realize how awful Netflix shows can be if they're written wrong.
I think that she would be something that I would keep. Even if you recast Iron Fist or don't bring him back at all, just say he died.
She's good as Colleen.
I would bring her back as the Iron Fist. Didn't she have?
She got the Iron Fist at the end, yeah.
Yeah, but she was like tracksuit Iron Fist.
There were like 3 Iron Fists at the end of that show.
Just make her a normal Iron. I don't know, whatever. It doesn't. Who cares? It's all garbage writing. They're gonna bring her back for some show where she does nothing for 5 episodes. We talked about this already. How it made good money. No Way Home. In ranking every MCU movie and series of 2021.
So What If is at number 9.
Totally agreed. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Okay, all right. They're recognizing they didn't go for the woke bullshit, but let's see.
Yeah, except it said brilliant exception in there.
I didn't know that. Black Widow, also bad. It's kind of a weird list because they're all bad. Eternals. Okay, I would have ranked Eternals higher. I think it's the only thing that actually did something.
I would have ranked Eternals higher too.
Yep.
Hawkeye, number 5.
Oh, that's bad.
I wonder what's at the top then.
WandaVision 4. I mean, fine. Like, to me, that's basically saying that they're equal. Shang-Chi, number 3. At least they didn't make it number 1.
Yeah, but it's bad. Still not good.
But I think, to be honest, like, I think Shang-Chi, Hawkeye, and Eternals, I think would have been higher, but Blackwood, I think they're all like on the same quality level. This is all basically it's like a tie for the bottom of the barrel. Loki. So what's number one? I don't even know.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Okay, that's obvious. Yeah. So basically, Spider-Man was good. Everything else was bad. I actually think that's a pretty fair list.
Well, Loki's up there. Loki's at 2.
But there's such
Spider-Man's the best movie.
such a
Loki's the
big
best
gap.
show.
Yeah, but there's a big gap between Loki and the other stuff too. Loki was by far the
That's
best
true.
Disney
It is
Plus
better.
series.
Yeah. Okay. Have you guys heard the news? These are just pure rumors, but they are considering an Electro solo film.
Why?
Sony is. I'll tell you why, Everett. Because they cannot get out of their own fucking way. Amy Pascal wants to compete so badly that she'll basically just blind herself to any logic. His character is done. He doesn't need a fucking solo film. He just had a terrible film where he was the main villain, or like whatever, half of the main villain. And then another one where Marvel redeemed him and gave him closure. Why would you then go and give him his own? Who is he going to fight?
Ugh.
Don't they understand that every time they give a solo thing, you're basically turning him into a good guy, which is kind of a problem when you try to make him into a bad guy later to fight Peter?
They don't
They,
care.
they want to make a Sinister Six so badly. And they don't know what to do because they can't create good villains because like they're all kind of taken. Anyway, the
Wow.
other rumor is Andrew Garfield 3.
I could see them doing that now.
Ugh.
But will it be with Tom Hardy's Venom? Nobody knows. There's also talk of Tobey Maguire 4. But I think at this point, a lot of rumors are just flying around.
Yeah, because people are basically saying what they want to happen as rumors.
But I also think that they're probably having that discussion in Sony because they're stupid. I like Tobey Maguire, but I think he's done.
Mhm.
Like, I think
It's
we
been
got
like
closure.
almost 20 years.
Yeah, but we got closure. Like, we never got the right closure. But we know he married MJ. We know he's happy. It's over. Like, do you really need to see him
I think
again?
it's more likely Andrew Garfield comes back.
Well, I think that would make sense. I think that would make sense. For all the Sony crap that they are trying to do, they should do it with him. If they're even legally allowed to, we still don't know if they're legally allowed to like use a Spider-Man in a movie or not. But they should do it with him. And I think that would be really smart. And I think that they should get a whole new creative team. If they go back to what they had, they're even dumber than I thought. So now
He goes through all the trouble of getting redeemed in No Way Home, and then he just goes back to the shit that they put him in. That'd be awful.
well, I can't imagine an actor of his caliber at this point in his career to be okay playing that same stupid version. He'd be like, no, he's different now. We're gonna make him different. He's not gonna be like an asshole who's like mildly autistic and like that's the character. Like that's basically him, in personality wise. This guy was fun. This guy was likable in Spider-Man, and he played it perfectly. You have to be a complete moron to not follow up on that. They might be morons. I don't know. All right. Full leaks of Doctor Strange. Are they the real leaks? I don't know. Like, there's actually multiple that are kind of contradicting. So I figure that it might be interesting to peruse.
Okay, let's take a look.
Why not?
So this guy, my time to shine. He's been somewhat reliable. So here's like the bullet points of the movie. Wanda will fight Charles Xavier, who is leading the multiverse Illuminati against her. It's rumored that it's
Okay.
going to be Patrick Stewart's Charles Xavier.
Okay.
The events of the movie will take place 2 years after WandaVision, where we will see Strange face a difficult choice between ending Wanda's life to save the multiverse or abiding by his Hippocratic oath and dooming all of reality.
That doesn't seem like a difficult choice.
No.
He was literally willing to kill everyone in Endgame and Infinity War, so I don't know why he would. Yeah.
The previous shots that were leaked a while ago are probably legit. They were like multiverse, so they were considering Tom Cruise to appear as Tony because he was originally going to be cast. That's not confirmed. That was like an idea that was definitely talked about, apparently. During Wanda's battle with Xavier, she's wearing black pants and a white shirt covered in blood. which is why I think the previs is legit. The blood is from other members of the Illuminati. Xavier has a hover chair and a small but significant role. They could easily hide it in the marketing. Wanda is not wearing the Scarlet Witch outfit because this isn't actually our Wanda, not her body anyway. This is the part where I'm like, I don't know. Wanda from the Illuminati universe looks just like our Wanda face-wise. Xavier fights Wanda inside her mind. Evan Peters is not in the movie. Captain Carter won't die. Wanda is the main villain. Shuma only has a small role as a demon Wanda summons to bring Chavez to her.
Okay.
The Darkhold is the reason it's corrupting Wanda's mind with the idea of doing whatever it takes to get her kids back. It makes her think that they need help and are in danger somewhere in the multiverse. And Chavez can open the portals. That kind of tracks. Wanda is trying to reach them, but can only use astral projection to travel the multiverse, and she needs to make it so her whole body could go through to get to her kids. The solution is Chavez, who can create portals. Wanda uses the Darkhold to summon demons to bring Chavez to her. That part doesn't quite make sense. But demons destroy everything in their way, including Chavez's reality. Chavez gets to the MCU and seeks help and gets to Strange, who's attending Palmer's wedding at the time, and then Shuma gets there and is attacking New York. Strange beats Shuma and talks to Chavez. After that, Strange goes to Wanda and they have a fight. Strange tries to bring her back to her senses, but there's no use. Wanda gets to know Kamartaj and blows the place up looking for Chavez. There seem to be some gaps there. Strange and Chavez run into other realities escaping Wanda. I feel like we might have seen that in the trailer. They go through a lot of crazy places till they get to Mordo variant, who's the master of the mystic arts in this universe. He tricks them and brings them to the Illuminati, a police-keeping force of the multiverse led by Charles Xavier. They put Strange and Chavez in prison. To get them, Wanda takes over the body of this universe's Wanda, who's just a normal housewife with her kids. Okay, that's the Mordo universe.
Wait a minute, pause. So the Illuminati is the peacekeeping force of the multiverse. What happened to the TVA?
No idea.
Okay.
There's no mention of them that I know of. She uses her body to kill some of the Illuminati and get Chavez out, but before she can do that, Xavier enters her mind and tries to free her mind from MCU Wanda. He's also trying to reach MCU Wanda and help her come to her senses. When Wanda finally gets to her kids, she realizes they were never in any danger and were happily living with the other Wanda in that universe on a farm. The kids want their real mother back and they fear this Wanda. This breaks Wanda and she disappears, but not before she does the same thing she did in WandaVision, but this time to the whole multiverse. I don't know what that means. What did she do?
I don't know.
Mind controls everybody. Strange and Chavez get back to the MCU, but the multiverse is more broken than ever. I'm guessing that Wanda will get her kids to the MCU and they'll be older. Her sadness and madness is the cause of the wave blast of energy similar to WandaVision. Not sure if the multiverse gets hexed, but something happens to it and it's not good. So they don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what that means. It's a Wanda and Strange movie. MCU Mordo is only in it for 5 minutes. MCU Palmer only has a small role, while Illuminati Palmer is the main one we see. The rumor is that she's Clea, but this one doesn't mention that.
Wait a minute. Mordo dies?
In that universe.
No, in the MCU universe.
MCU.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Loki was not in the version I heard, but reshoots might have changed it. Magic is not in the movie. Monica is a variant. Rintra is on Strange and Wong's team to help fight Wanda. He has a big role. See, they didn't even mention Rintra before. I don't even know who that is. He has a big role, and Adam Hugel is cast in the role. Mordo from the Illuminati verse is also a bad guy who betrays the Illuminati for Wanda. He will stick around after the movie. I could see that. There are 6 members of the Illuminati. Earth will be named 616. Strange gets a comic accurate suit. Darkhold cast exists. I think they're meaning Yellow Gloves. Ending gives House of M vibes. Xavier will be a variant of the X-Men films. I don't know what that means. Is he a variant in the X-Men films, or is it be like a different version of him? Ultron drones arrest Strange. There was some concept art of that. That makes sense. So I think they will meet the Illuminati. Strange asking Wanda to help him is followed by him realizing she's the one sending demons. Supreme Strange isn't the villain and his role isn't even that big. I buy that. This is the Illuminati's Mordo. What is this? Twitter. It's the braided hair guy. And there's There's Xavier. This is like leaked stuff, I'm assuming. I don't know. Mr. Fantastic is one of the Illuminati members. They've added more members after reshoots. So they've cast Mr. Fantastic, basically.
Interesting.
And I've heard that rumor in other places. There are Illuminati members and there are helpers, Palmer variants. Some are other X-Men, and Ultron drones controlled by Stark variant are helpers. Wanda is full villainous and ends up winning. So he never really tells us the end, right? They say that the universe is more broken than ever. And
Yeah,
that she does some crazy shit, and that's the end of the movie.
She's gonna bring the mutants in, supposedly. That'll be interesting.
I'm not sure, but she might do a reverse No More Mutants and bring them instead of getting rid of them. I mean, a lot of people have guessed that. Leaked images. We've seen this before, a long time ago.
Yeah.
But they're saying that these are probably legit. So take that for what you will. There's like Defender Strange, Defender Wong. I don't know. This is a Portuguese plot leak. This one says that the film takes place 1 year and 2 months after WandaVision. And doesn't this one say 2 years? 2 years. So I'm not sure what happened there. Mordo still wants to wipe out all the wizards. Wanda's mind is corrupted by the Darkhold. Strange prepares for Christine's wedding. He is shaken that it won't be with him. Blah blah blah. That Wong makes a joke quoting a Beyonce song. I feel like, and they also predicted the Sorcerer Supreme. I feel like this is more accurate. It's a little more specific. At the wedding, Strange senses a presence, and soon after, a portal opens near them with a scared America Chavez. That tracks with what we read before. Destroys the place, almost killing Christine. Blah blah blah. America introduces herself, and Wong takes her to eat at a pizzeria with Strange. This sounds real to me, don't you think?
The way it's paced sounds very Marvel.
She says the creature didn't try to catch her, but capture her. And like how she explains how the multiverse works using pizza. This sounds real. Wong explains that the demon was Shuma. Wanda's cabin. She stops feeling the presence of the creature. Then, in an act of desperation, she finds a part of the book that says in order for her to have access to more creatures from another world, she must be able to travel between realities, but this requires a high cost. Voices in her head saying she will need this in order to restore her family. She does something and has an improvement in her powers, but the book starts controlling her more without her realizing. Classic, like they're going to blame it on some other crap. She begins to travel through parallel universes in her astral form. That makes sense. Back at the pizzeria, America opens a portal, blah, blah, blah. Wong brings America to Kamartaj for help, and Rintra assists. Who is Rintra?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Are we supposed to know who that is? Okay. Some like dog looking horn thing. I don't know. Strange asks Wanda why she needs the girl, and she says the girl is the key to her children. That it was all a fantasy. Wanda wants to fight him. Wanda can only travel through the multiverse as an astral projection. That's probably confirmed. Blah blah blah. They're imprisoned by Mordo, Sorcerer Supreme. The Illuminati consists of Monica Rambeau, Captain Carter, Balder. Is that a Thor character? And Professor Xavier as their leader. Clea is part of the group as an advisor for Xavier. Who is Clea?
These are just.
How old is Sir Patrick Stewart?
I don't know. Is the Sorceress Supreme of the Dark Dimension, and it's gonna be Rachel McAdams. That's weird. The Illuminati debate on killing Strange and America because they are messing with the reality in the universe. Clea doesn't think they deserve to die. Strange tries to warn them about Wanda. Then we got to Wanda and the Illuminati timeline with her children living happily. Wanda from our universe then possesses her and goes to the Illuminati Council. How could she be living happily with kids that aren't real?
Because her children are real in that world.
Like she actually just had babies?
I guess.
When she arrives, Balder says she is out of control, and Wanda pushes him over the wall, superimposing him and the wall. A fight breaks out, and Xavier has a floating chair. Captain Carter tries to kill Wanda with her sword, but is thrown against Monica by Wanda. Meanwhile, Clea releases America. Is this the final battle of the movie?
So Monica Rambeau dies?
Where do you see that?
Monica, I don't.
Well, it says the sword is thrown against Monica. Wouldn't that mean she's like
No,
impaled?
it says Captain
With her
Carter
sword.
is thrown against
Yeah.
Monica.
Oh, never mind.
Xavier tries to free Wanda from this reality and realizes the evil force of the Darkhold on Wanda. She lifts Xavier from his chair and breaks his neck.
Ooh.
I mean, I like that, but he also just got introduced, so I don't care that much. Mordo and Strange fight each other as Mordo blames him. Clea lifts Mordo up in the air and knocks him away. Clea and America manifest the spell to get out of the universe with Strange. Wanda returns to the farmhouse where Billy and Tommy attack her because she is a shadowy figure. She realizes that she was being controlled and leaves back to her real body, then frees Wong, who realizes she is not being controlled anymore. Wanda realizes that the real Shuma is after America to dominate the entire multiverse. They go to Strange, America, and Clea and Wanda asks for forgiveness. They forgive her because she was being controlled. Shuma arrives with creatures, blah, blah, blah. They fight as a trio. Strange offers help with whatever Wanda needs, but she says she has other plans and needs to reunite with an old friend, Agatha. Oh, gosh, they're still going with this shit. America receives training by Wong and Strange, and Clea returns to her reality. Information in no order of occurrence. Loki has a cameo. Parker and Harkness are mentioned. The film has 2 post credits. I believe this one.
Wow. Okay.
I'm not interested in her continuing this shit with the kids and Agatha. Like, just kill her. Whatever. This is what I'm saying. I just don't care.
There's too many of these leaks.
And they are aged up at the end. That sounds right. I think that's 5 distinct universes and a few weird ones. Illuminati timeline, Ruin New York City, Iron Legion, the multiverse itself, one that looks like the end of Loki, and a Darkhold castle, which take place in the main timeline. Yeah. So Loki, a lot of people are reporting Loki shows up. Teenagers at the end.
It seems like there's common themes in these leaks.
Yeah. I'm just not interested.
Well, the ending of the leak you're going up on right now says Doctor Strange gets corrupted and grows a third eye. The one beneath that. I don't buy that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
He walks like a zombie. Yeah, this one doesn't sound. Wanda chops off his head. Well, I mean, if he's only in it for 5 minutes, that would track. Sorcerer Supreme makes sense. Multiverse Chase, they got that. Wanda threatens Strange. They go to Camartage, that's pretty consistent. Captain Marvel. Okay, Monica Rambeau is Captain Marvel. That's weird. Captain Carter, Balder, Professor X. All that tracks too. Those are big things to get right. Anyway, do we want to play Smartass this week?
I do have a game for you in
Sure.
lead up to our final game.
All right, go for it.
Okay, so this is the final game before our final big Jeopardy game at the end. There is a slight twist to this game, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. You have to figure it out on your own.
That's always good when there's unknown rules.
This isn't.
Trust
me, it has no bearing on any of the other shit that we've done. It's just the same
I
normal
like the
questions
beard,
you always
Everett.
have.
It's looking very full.
Thank you. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Alrighty. What would you like to start with? Person, place, or thing?
Who?
Person? Okay.
No,
So the one thing
all right, whatever.
You want to start with person?
I always pick person. Go ahead.
I was asking who was starting, but person is fine.
Okay. One thing I will mention, I have 2 of each category for you this week. So there's 2 persons, 2 places, 2 things.
Okay.
So person 1 or person 2?
Person 1.
Person 1. You guys ready?
Yep.
Here we go. I was born in the 1930s. I lost both my parents at a young age. I have killed people and have no problem sacrificing lives to get what I want.
Magneto,
Correct. Nice job.
Damn, that was fast.
1930s, Holocaust.
Alrighty. Kia, you can pick next category.
Thing. I always get thing wrong, but
One or two.
two.
Two. Okay. Ready? This item has appeared many times in both film and television. In the comics, they are about the size of a brick, but other versions are much larger. In the past 10 years, the item has been seen on screen in 2 films and 1 re-release. This item possesses abilities such as life regeneration and terraformation. They are also referred to as a change engine.
World Engine.
No. Emerson?
Mother box.
Correct.
Oh,
Nice
fuck.
job. Okay, Emerson, pick the next category.
Can we do person 1 or person 2?
Person 2.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Person 2, here we go. I have had 5 first appearances as I was rebranded with different aliases, ranging from 1968 to 2012. I have appeared on screen 3 times. My film has a critic score of 79, but an audience score of 45 on Rotten Tomatoes. In the comics, it was said that this person had a crush on Spider-Man. In the past, I have received a blood transfusion. My powers originated from an Infinity Stone. I am former U.S. Air Force.
Captain Marvel.
Correct. Nice
What
job.
the fuck, dude? I was stuck on Black Cat. I was like, wait, she didn't get her powers from the Infinity Stone.
All right. So you got no more people. Kia, pick the next category. You got 2 places and 1 thing.
All right, just go for the thing, I guess.
All right. Thing. Where is it? All right. This item was made in the year 2009. It is able to lift at minimum 7.5 tons. It is incredibly bulky. This item was built in secret. It was destroyed along with its user. It was equipped with a missile system.
Ironmonger.
Yeah, fuck. I didn't know what it was
Kia
called.
got it first. Nice job.
It was built in 2009. I thought the movie came out in 2008.
The movie
It
takes place
starts
in
in 2008, and then there's a time gap.
Okay.
I didn't
Alright,
know what it was called. I was like, oh, what the fuck was the suit called?
Nice job. All right. So there are only 2 things left are both places. Would
Okay.
you like 1 or 2?
One.
1. All right, here we go.
One.
Okay. I have replaced the internet as the world's online database and largest public library. I require a set of gloves and VR goggles.
Oh,
to properly...
the Oasis.
Correct. Nice job.
Haven't we had that question like 4 times?
Not 4 times.
And Emerson always gets it.
Because I think about that movie far too often.
I never read the book. I don't even know what it's called.
Ready Player One.
All right. Here's the last one, which is place. You ready? Here we go. This location is located by the sea.
Castle Rock.
Wow.
You're reusing questions. I remember.
That was
You're
the gimmick.
reusing questions.
The fuck?
Yeah.
The minute
right.
Kia was like, haven't we had that one before? And you're like, this place is located by the sea. I was like, he's reusing fucking questions.
I didn't even.
Okay, well,
The next clue was going to be it sits on a large deposit of gold.
Wow, nice. Okay, well, since you remember the question, do you want the extra question?
Sure.
Okay.
I think I got it wrong if I remember correctly, so this is going to be bad.
Your extra question is regarding Casterly Rock. Who said the following quote?
Oh fuck! Why did I do this?
Can I
Casterly
answer
Rock.
this?
No, it's just me.
No, it's just for Emerson.
Oh, okay.
Quote is Casterly Rock is an impenetrable fortress, but as a good friend of mine once said, give me 10 good men and I'll impregnate the bitch.
Tyrion.
Correct. Nice job. Okay. It's gonna take far too long for me to accumulate all these points, so I'll have the point
We're only
score ready
6
for next week.
questions.
Yeah, but I have to find the note.
Everett,
I'll have the
Everett, my dude, you're not looking good right now, dude. I'll accumulate it for you. Kia got both of the persons, right? And he got one of the things, and he got one of the place, right? No, I got both of the place. He got both of the persons. So that's 2 to both people. Okay. Then there's the things, which did we get one each?
You want me to actually do this in real time?
Everett, it's only 6 questions. Dude.
Okay, one sec.
Who got okay? Did we get one of the things each? Yes.
Kia
or no?
got 3. Kia got 3 points.
Okay, so then I got 4 and Kia got 3.
Okay, fine.
No, do the math.
Yeah,
If
okay.
Kia got
I'm doing the
3
math right
and
now.
I got 3 and I got the bonus question.
Okay, so you got 4 points, Emerson, and Kia got 3.
Why are you pretending like you couldn't do that? There's only 7 points.
Okay. So this is a margin that you guys could both still win. So Emerson's
he needs
currently
to
Why?
calculate
No. Answer my question. Why weren't you doing the math?
because I'm bad at short math. I was trying to save myself the embarrassment, but I got it right. Okay, fine. So your current scores right now leading up to the final game are Emerson 69, Kia 61. You could still very easily win, Kia. But
Because the
I
final
think- okay.
questions are like 5 points each or something, aren't they?
the way that I'm gonna have a whole Jeopardy board game ready for you guys with like
Okay.
2 rounds and all sorts of other stuff. So you'll
Okay, so
see.
there'll be like 40 points in it.
Yeah,
Okay.
You'll have the margin ready. All right, that's it.
All right. Buy my graphic novel is on sale right now. Emerson, did you get your copy?
No, it still hasn't arrived.
Oh, weird. Some
I'll
other
track
people
it
I
after
know
this.
were able to get their
Let me see.
copy.
I'll track it right now.
Everett, did you buy one?
I want to buy it. I want to buy it and have you sign it. So I want to.
Yeah, I
What
want to
does
do
that
that
mean?
too. So I'm gonna buy it first and then have you.
Yeah.
sign it.
What does that mean?
Can I just buy it and ship it to you, and then you just ship it to me?
Oh my God!
I
Why
mean,
don't
if
you just
want to do that? He's bad with short math, but he's good with long shipping.
I guess.
We can figure that out.
My city's post office looks like a porta potty. That's
Yeah,
all I'm
it's
So I'm
really
saying.
saying,
not a
like-
pleasant post office.
I mean, you live like so far away now. Like I'd have to hop on a plane, give it to you, sign it, and come back. That costs a lot of money. Or I'd
I
have
mean,
to keep it until
eventually
I
you
come
will
to Colorado.
probably see him.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he'd have to bring the book with him. Yeah, I guess you could do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll figure it out.
Next week is our awards thing. I want to try to finish. I want to try to finish Harry Potter.
Okay,
So just-
I'm down to do that.
So just so we're clear, we're only ranking movies from this year, correct? Like we always do.
I don't even know. Like, I
There's
guess
not
that
a
we
lot to do this.
That we
year.
reviewed in total, or because if we're
I
if we're
don't
talking
even
about-
know. I honestly, I don't know. Like, I'm not even sure there's a point in doing it this year because we didn't even see most of those movies. We looked up the nominees and we didn't even like. You guys haven't seen any of them, have you? Maybe.
I've seen a couple of them,
Dune,
not all of
Dune
them.
is the one we've all
Dune.
seen.
Yeah, I mean, I might watch The Power of the Dog. I might. I'm probably gonna watch Up, whatever that movie. Don't Look Up.
Mhm.
I don't know. Is there a point you want to just do your smart ass game in Harry Potter?
I'd be down to do
Yeah,
that.
we could do that.
I agree. There's so few things that came out, and there's so few things we saw this year. I mean, we could try
Normally-
to do something fun, like a ranking of like what are the worst things we saw this year, like what are the biggest letdowns.
We shit on things enough. But like there usually is like 3 Marvel movies that we liked and want to like compare.
I mean,
and
we
say
could
which
try
is
to do
better.
like a pleasant surprises thing.
Like we used to do. I don't think. I don't.
Maybe you can do like an ultimate like fight of the year, Emerson, or something like that.
Us versus all the movies.
Yeah, I think we'll. If I can't finish Harry Potter, I'll let you guys know. Maybe we'll do like a Tom Hanks movie,
All right.
and then
Okay.
we'll do like the final smart ass.
We've been
All
doing
right,
Tom Hanks
that's
for
fine.
like a solid year now.
Well,
'cause
it's because we're not doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. Could have been over in like 2 months, but we dragged it out. All right, buy my book. I will see you guys next time.
See ya.
See ya.